2026. Crazy. Anyway, let's talk about a little something here. So, I can't show you this yet. This right here. Ruins of Roguewood. I've got stories about this project, and I'm going to tell you all about that today. But first, I want to thank all y'all for continuing to watch, support, follow, like, subscribe, whatever you guys do on all the different platforms. I like the little community I have. No matter how few of you there are, I'm still happy that, people are playing, people are talking, people are interested in what I do. So, thank you. And those of you that do follow me and have for a while will know a lot about this little project and how it's changed a lot over the year or so that I've developed it. This is Roguewood, a little one-player micro game I made back in the day. It was my second or third project. Still one of the highest sold games I have, and it's fun. I mean, shoot, I still pull it out. Different difficulty settings, fun, fast mechanics, very satisfying to shuffle and deal. It's just a fun little distillation of the dungeon crawler genre in the form of a solitaire card game. Now, that all being said, I wanted to make something bigger, something for the co-op table, Something multiple people can sit down and play as a team and enjoy. I went to Xfil for inspiration with a tile system, and I went to Hero Quest, that old 90s OG dungeon crawler, for combat and balancing purposes. What I realized was that Ruins of Roguewood as an individual title wasn't grand enough or large enough of a release to match the scale that I wanted, right? So, what I end up doing, after about a year of working on it, I scrapped pretty much all of it, came back later, and I had a bit of an epiphany. The answer's been staring me in the face the entire time. Why don't I just take that setting, the Ruins of Roguewood, this magical ever-changing forest, the mines and ancient structures beneath, and just beef up the base game solo format for multiplayer? Why not, right? Well, I'll tell you why. And those reasons are things I had to figure out as I went. Number one, turn order was a huge issue. I had to figure out how to change things up for the sake of this new game. The way the original Roguewood worked was that you would have a hand of cards that you kept as your inventory. You would play those cards on other cards that were drawn from a sort of encounter deck every round. At the end of the round, if you weren't able to clear the table using the cards from your hand or by making the cards on the table interact, you would lose the game. Now, of course, you would go through the whole encounter deck multiple times, shuffling cards in, cycling it, hunting for treasure that'll help you win the game, and taking and using cards as you go. That was the core. This didn't really work in a multiplayer turn-based format. So, what I do? Instead of having the game use turns, as in everyone goes around the table, I set it up in phases, whereas the deck is drawn from, all of the players strategize and come up with their own set of movements, actions, circumstances, right? Things they want to do on their turn, and then the third phase is where all of it's resolved and cleaned up. Ruins of Roguewood has a lot of returning mechanics from the first game, only this time there are different options to scale it for different amounts of players. And not only that, there are new mechanics that we'll get into in issue number 2 I had for the game. Issue number 2 is a lack of gameplay variety. As a small game, it works just fine, but as something larger scale, something for a party, multiple people to engage in together and replay multiple times, well, shoot, you got maybe 10 minutes of gameplay out of it for everyone. But in this game's case, I realized that I would have to bring up the complexity a little bit. Usually that's something I don't do. What that did was simplified everything down to its base components and made the core of the game stronger. But in Ruins of Roguewood's case, I would actually need to add things on just because the core of the game didn't really facilitate that cooperative play. Resource management was a huge thing. So the goal was to get a certain amount of gold instead of unlocking a certain amount of chests. At the end of each deck, every time you cycle through the encounter deck one whole time, you would get a total, and that would go into your pool that would contribute towards winning the game. Because, this is important, think of each run through the deck like expeditions. You return from the mines at the end and dump whatever you make it out with. Specifically because certain enemies, certain encounters have an option to take gold away from you, or gold can be used as a resource under certain situations. Like I said, like the original game, everything is a resource. Weapons, items, and tools have also retained their original use as a tool, as a resource as well. There's mining and usage now. Weapons can degrade over time. There's going to be a little track with a cube on the card that you move up and down to signify how many swings or how many uses a tool has left. What you do to repair those tools is mine. It's one of the things you can do on your turn instead of directly interacting with the encounter deck. When you mine, there are different resources you can find. It's a third random deck labeled under ore, and it can be iron to repair tools and weapons. It can be gunpowder. It can be raw gold that has its own value to it, and different magical crystals that interact with a what's it called? Not a spear. A staff item that utilizes those crystals to do things like damage enemies or heal everyone at the table. And healing brings us into the third reason for the changes I need to make. In the first Roguewood, when you failed to complete a table wipe, clear all the encounters, you just lost. That was it. In this game, I actually took a little bit of inspiration from other co-op games, specifically under my wheelhouse, Alien, Fate of the Nostromo. Fate of the Nostromo is a fantastic, easy to pick up co-op game about resource management, where you're running around the Nostromo playing as all the different characters in the original Alien movie, run from the xenomorph, and solving different objectives by spending and crafting. The entire table shares a pool of health where every time a player does something wrong, gets trapped, or attacked, that goes down. It's a cumulative health bar for everyone. It's called morale, where when it hits 0, the entire game is over. It doesn't matter how many times an individual gets attacked, but how much cumulative damage everyone's taken together over the course of the game. Ruins of Roguewood will use a similar system to that. And like a lot of my other games, a big balancing change I'm making has it so that healing is pretty difficult to do. Like those magic crystals, for instance, they're rare, but they heal a lot. There are also rations that you can find in loot. In the same stack, you would find tools or weapons. Now, that's 3 reasons as to why Ruins of Roguewood, as a standard card game, would be tough to do. But obviously, I figured out most of that. What I want to get into now are a few examples of the monsters, items, weapons, equipment, what have you, that I'm going to be adding to the game to round off the video. Let's do it. Dynamite requires ignition powder, gunpowder, as I said earlier, and it's a discard to use, a one-time use item. It deals enough damage to kill pretty much any monster in the game, but has equal utility for creating paths and clearing certain traps. The pickaxe is, well, the essential mining tool. It has 3 points of durability, meaning 3 uses before it breaks. You can repair it all the same with iron. You can damage monsters with it, dealing bonus damage to specific monsters made of rock, like golems. But you can also spend its durability to draw from the ore deck, as discussed earlier. The sword is the game's primary workhorse. You're going to be slashing through a lot of monsters, spiderwebs, and vines with this thing. It has only 3 durability though, like the pickaxe, so you'll have to repair it more often since it's less niche in application. The torch, with 2 durability, is repaired by the ignition powder, or gunpowder. It costs 1 durability to use, allowing you to either interact with specific encounter cards or reveal face-down counter cards at the start of a round. The shield is simple, strong, but rare. Discard to block any damage to the entire team for the whole round. It's a big old tower shield, but it's old and it breaks very easily. You discard in order to use it. It can be great for last-second saves.